Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're unpacking something that feels like, well, it feels like a history lesson, but also a pretty radical critique of how we live our modern lives.
Yeah, it really does.
It's based on a really compelling document we've been looking at titled What a Boarder Can Learn from Leonardo da Vinci. And, don't let the title fool you. This isn't just for kids in boarding schools.
No, not at all. It's really a manifesto for anyone who has ever felt that pressure to specialize. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That immense societal weight to just pick a lane, stay in it, and optimize yourself for one specific thing.
Right, and it starts so young, too. I mean, we ask 5-year-olds what they want to be when they grow up, and we expect a specific job title.
You do.
And by high school, it's completely codified. You're asked, are you academic, or are you sporty, or are you artistic?
Exactly.
It's like this industrial model of education where you just get categorized and sorted. But honestly, it's such a relief to realize you don't actually have to be just one thing.
That's the core of it. And what we are looking at today uses Leonardo da Vinci to just blow that whole model up. Yeah. Because he was the ultimate multi-hyphenate.
Right, the document lists all these titles he held simultaneously.
Yeah, it calls him an artist, scientist, engineer, inventor, observer of nature, and thinker.
All at once.
All at once.
Yeah.
And the core argument here is that having all these multiple interests isn't confusion, it's potential.
I love that framing, because normally, if you're interested in 6 different wildly unrelated things, people tell you that you lack focus.
Right, but the text explicitly says that a student's greatest strength isn't a single talent. It's the refusal to be limited to just one identity.
And this connects so perfectly to the boarding school environment, doesn't it? The document goes into detail about what boarders can actually juggle simultaneously.
It does, because a boarding school is uniquely set up for this. The text points out that boarders can be playing sport, learning music, exploring art, studying science, developing leadership, and serving the community all in the same environment.
It's all right there. The proximity makes it possible. You don't have to choose just one identity because you literally have the opportunity to engage in all of them.
Exactly. But there's an engine that drives all this. You can't just do all those things effectively without the right mindset.
And that engine, according to the text, is curiosity.
Yes. And the document makes a really bold claim here. It argues that curiosity is actually more powerful than raw talent.
Which is a hot take. We love the natural genius narrative. We love raw talent.
We do, but talent has limits. The text frames it around intrinsic motivation. It's the shift from learning because you have to learning because you want to.
Because you want to. And Da Vinci is the perfect example of that. The source lists these incredibly specific things he frantically wanted to know.
Oh, his questions were relentless.
Yeah, he wanted to know how the human body works,
right,
how birds fly, how water moves, how machines could be built, and how light and shadow create images.
He was obsessed.
Yeah.
He didn't ask those things because they were on a test. He asked because he just had an insatiable mind.
So what does that actually look like for a modern student? Because, frankly, most students are just trying to get through the day.
Well, the text explains exactly what this curiosity looks like practically in a boarding context. It means asking questions in class.
Which can be scary for a teenager.
Very. It also means reading beyond the syllabus, trying new activities, and crucially, wanting to understand rather than just memorize.
Understand rather than memorize, that's huge, because memorizing is a chore. But curiosity is what turns learning into something exciting.
Exactly. It completely reframes the whole educational experience.
So how did Da Vinci actually manage all this? Because having a million questions is great, but keeping track of them is another story.
Right, and this brings us to the tools of a genius. The primary tool the document highlights is his notebook strategy.
Oh, the famous notebooks.
Yes, the text details his habit of filling thousands of pages with ideas, sketches, questions, and observations.
But they weren't polished, right? I mean, they were notoriously messy.
Very messy. And that's a key point the source makes. It's the imperfect process. He didn't wait for the perfect answer before writing something down.
He used it to capture thinking, not just finished thoughts.
Capturing thinking, yes. That's exactly it. And the document advises boarders to replicate this exact habit today.
How so? Just carrying around a giant leather-bound journal?
Well, practically it suggests keeping a reflection journal, recording goals, writing down ideas, and tracking progress.
Just getting it out of your head and onto paper so you can actually work with it.
Right. And there's a second tool that goes hand in hand with the notebooks, which is the art of observation.
Da Vinci didn't just look at things, he really observed them.
Closely. The text says he observed nature, people, movement, and patterns.
But doing that requires time. And boarding life, as the text points out, is incredibly busy. It's a paradox, isn't it?
It is a paradox. You've got classes, sports, meals, prep. But the expert advice in the text is that real learning requires slowing down.
Slowing down in the middle of all that chaos.
Yes, to think deeply and notice the things that others miss. The document identifies that specific act of slowing down and noticing as the actual source of creativity.
That makes a lot of sense. You can't be creative if you're just rushing from one obligation to the next.
Exactly. You have to give your brain the space to make connections.
Now, this leads to something in the source material that I found really surprising.
The unfinished projects.
Yes. The text points out that Da Vinci started many projects that he never actually completed.
Which goes against everything we're taught about success, right? Finish what you start.
Exactly. In a modern school environment, leaving things unfinished usually means a failing grade. So why is he still considered a great learner despite this?
The answer from the source is really profound. It says he is still revered because he was always exploring, developing, and improving.
He didn't stop learning just because he didn't finish the final product.
Right. And the text connects this directly to a philosophy for boarders. It says that you don't need a perfect final version of yourself.
Because you're a work in progress.
You are a work in progress. Boarding isn't about producing a flawless finished product by the time you graduate.
It's about the process, which brings up this idea in the text of culture over results.
Yes. The section on why this matters in boarding life, it argues that a strong learning culture isn't just about getting top results.
It's not just a factory for good grades.
No, it's built on students who love learning, who ask questions, who see connections between different subjects, and who develop multiple talents.
And when you foster that kind of culture, what's the actual outcome?
The outcome, according to the text, is that you create independent learners. You create creative thinkers, and you create confident young people who are actually ready for the future.
Because they aren't rigid. They haven't just memorized the answers for a test that will be obsolete in 5 years.
Exactly. They know how to learn.
That is such an empowering way to look at education. And it brings us to the final reassuring message from the text, which I think everyone needs to hear, regardless of their age.
That you do not need to decide right now what you will become.
It takes so much pressure off. You don't have to have it all figured out.
You just need to engage with the process. The source summarizes the key behaviors so clearly. Stay curious, try widely, reflect often, and develop many sides of yourself.
When I read that final quote in the text, it really hit home. Successful people aren't always those on a straight, narrow path.
Right.
They're the ones who never stop learning. And boarding provides that unique time and opportunity to discover just how many different things you can become.
It's a laboratory for self-discovery.
It really is. Now, to wrap up our deep dive today, I want to leave you with a thought to mull over on your own.
Oh, a provocative follow-up. I like it.
Well, we talked about how the text mentions Da Vinci didn't finish many of his projects, but he's still revered as a genius.
Yeah.
So think about this. If we stopped judging our own education or even our daily work by completed grades, final scores, and crossed off to-do lists, and instead we judged it by the number of questions we asked, how effectively would that change the way you approach your studies or your work tomorrow?
That completely flips the script on what a productive day looks like.
Doesn't it? It means every unknown is an opportunity, not a failure.
Absolutely.
Something to think about next time you feel the pressure to have all the answers. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep asking questions, and we'll catch you next time.